Hey YouTube, how the heck you doing? I'm doing great and I hope you are too. I had a request from one of my subscribers to give him a little background info on how I originally set up my tank and got it going and everything. So I thought that would be a great little series to bring to you guys. It would help me go back and look over what I've done over the years to this tank. This particular tank I think is about 14 years old now. And I have one original fish, that's the clownfish that you see in there. There used to be two, but he had abnormalities, so he couldn't eat properly, so I did lose him. It was Marlin and Nemo, and unfortunately I lost Nemo. And I can't replace another pair of clownfish until Marlin passes away, because I guess they don't get along when you put some other clownfish in there, is what I read. I haven't tried that theory out, and it may be incorrect, but so far I'm just going with the marlin fish, the one clownfish, and down the road we'll see what we'll do. But like I said, I wanted to do a little series for you guys and see what we can come up with. So this is my tank that I originally bought, and the first thing you want to do is probably look at what size tank you want to get and style. Now the one behind me here is a cubic tank, so it's more cube shaped than elongated like you see on most. It's a 29 gallon and it's higher than most tanks you see. I can barely get my entire arm down there when I'm trying to fish something out of there. It pretty much goes all the way up to the top of my shoulder there, but it's a little shorter but much taller, so I like that style. That's the style I went for. It had a glass front and everything. It was just a very nice cube tank that I saw in Petco, I believe it was, and it wasn't the cheapest, so I figured this was the main part of my adventure with saltwater fish, so I wanted to go with the best tank that I could afford, with a style I liked, and something would fit my budget, you know, not max it out, but not go too cheap, because I didn't want to be upgrading every 5-10 years or so. Although I've been saying I need to make this bigger because it's grown so much, but I'll still keep this tank around. But you do want to look at that. And one of the other things, there's acrylic tanks and there's glass tanks. I went with the glass. They're less prone to scratching and everything. Although with my little magnetic glass cleaner, if you do get a piece of stone or something in there, you are prone to scratching glass. Although acrylic does scratch a lot easier and a lot quicker, so you do have to be careful of that. So I went with glass, and it's been pretty good. I do have a few scratches. I don't adhere to my own advice, obviously, so those is the one thing you want to get probably set in stone in the beginning, is the type of tank you want to do, is the size, the style, you know, whatever fits your decor or whatever may be in your house or wherever you're going to place the tank, and basically the cost. So you want to get those 2 or 3 things down and out of the way before you go and looking for a tank to purchase. Maybe it's on sale, but you got to see what you want to do. And then at that point, what you want to do is look at the type of tank you want to do. Now originally I just had a few fish in there and some live rock, which is helps filter the system and everything, and we'll get to that in later parts of our series. But I just did a few fish only in the beginning. So you can do fish only, where you have just the fish, no corals or anything. You can just do coral only, which typically stays cleaner because there's no fish pee in it and all the detritus and everything that accumulates from the fish eating and food not getting eaten and stuff like that. Or you can do reef only, which currently what this is, where I have a good mixture of corals and I got a slight mixture of fish in there. So I didn't originally start it as a reef setup, but I did have that in the back of my mind that eventually I did want to go to a reef setup with the coral and the fish combination. But typically in the beginning I just had my clownfish. Those were my 2 fish that I started the tank with, because they're pretty hardy fish. You want to start with a hardy fish when you start your tank up. Those were the 2 that I started, and just some live rock in there. So I got it going and set up, and from there I did research out the wazoo as far as what I wanted to do from there. So I picked up a book, picked up this book, I picked up this book, this book. You might want to pick up a few books and just get some reading done. As you can see, I've done a little reading and researching, and obviously there's the internet you can go on and do more researching from forums, YouTube videos and such like that. So do your research, because aside from the setup of the tank, there's how you want to set up the tank. Now this is sand only bottom. Typically they say probably 2 to 3 inches of sand for the sand bed of the tank, and this is not 2 to 3 inches. This is barely maybe 1.5 inches of sand, and it's done pretty well. And we'll go into filtration and everything in the later part of the series. So you do want to pick up a few books, whether it be through Amazon, or if you have a discount bookstore in your area, or your local bookstore that has the discount shelving or location in their store where you can get a book for 50% off or even more. Pick up a few books and just go through the type of coral or fish, whichever way you're going to go as far as the type of tank you want to do, and start doing research, because one of the things you're going to run into is compatibility with the fish and compatibility with the coral that is in your tank and the fish that's in your tank if you go the reef route, because there's fish that will eat some coral, there's some corals that cannot reside next to each other, they'll sting each other or take over that area. So you got to be aware of it. You don't want to be in the fish store and you like the price and the beautiful fish that you see in the tank that they have there, and you're all ready to take it home. And you get it home, you get it acclimated, and 2, maybe 3 days later, one of the other fish attacks it and kills it, and it's gone, and then you're out $20, $30, or even more, depending on what that fish costs you. But you want to find a nice book you can reference. There's been many times that I've been in the store and I've been looking at a fish that I wanted to get, so I'd go on my phone and Google it to see if it's compatible with the fish I currently have in my tank. And a lot of times I'm able to bring that fish home, and sometimes I'm not, and that's just how it goes. Like I said, my original fish in there is just the clownfish. I've had other ones through the years that just died of natural causes, or they committed suicide by jumping out. So now if I find a fish that I have that likes to kind of plop at the top of the water line there, I have a screen that I put in, but these fish have been pretty good. I've lost a few gobies because they do like to jump out of the tank, and I didn't know that at the time when I purchased them, because they're usually sand dwellers. They kind of sift through the sand and clean it up and everything, so I didn't think that would be a problem. But I've lost 2 that I know of through jumping out of the tank, so I got a screen if I need it in the future, but so far these guys have been doing pretty good and staying in the tank and everything. So you do want to get to know the compatibility of the fish you're putting in, the compatibility of the corals and the fish, and so on. So make sure you get some books to do some research, follow some forums and stuff, just get going with the knowledge that you want to do. So we're going to do a complete series on this, or try to do a complete series. I'm not the end-all expert on any of this. This is just my journey in my saltwater tank from beginning to the current situation that I have here, and I'm loving it at this point. Like I said, there's been a few times where I wanted to give up, and other videos I've said, everything just crashed. My corals were crashing. I didn't lose any fish. The fish usually survive most crashes. It's usually the corals and just getting the lighting and everything situated, and we'll go over that too. But this is my journey from the initial tank that I have to my current tank, and we'll go through that. But for now, see what you want to do with your tank, what kind of size, what kind of cost you can do, and what kind of tank you want to do, whether reef, fish only, or just coral only. That's probably, I don't want to say the easiest one, the coral only, because you don't have to worry about waste and everything like that. I didn't do a coral one, so I'm not sure if that is easier. But we'll get into that when the time comes. And until then, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, like and subscribe. If you didn't like it, well, give me a comment and tell me what you'd like to know about this stuff, or just don't watch these ones. But I hope you do like this one, and I hope to see you next time, guys. Have a good one.